Welcome, pilot, to another Hunternet Starfighter feature video. Since the last major networking update, I've been working on a second core pillar of the new Hunternet universe, persistence. When you join the game now, you'll have the option of joining the previous modes, now named War Games and Racing, where you can use the server browser to find a nearby server and take part in instance games that have no bearing on the universe. Or you can join the new test universe, where a single world runs continuously 24/7, whether you're offline or online, and where consequences have long-term repercussions. Currently, there's a disclaimer because this is a very early version of the test universe. My current focus is simply on the technical updates required for it to function, and there aren't any new gameplay loops yet, as it's important for the foundations to be strong before I build upon them and with the gameplay loops. But having said that, persistence does unlock some new features. One is when you're offline, your ship persists in the world, and your pilot will enter an automatic shutdown procedure and shut all your ship systems down except for life support. When you reconnect into the game, you'll see that your shields have been drained, and I recommend you take a moment to wait for those to charge up before flying out, as the battle will most likely already be raging all around you. So during development of this feature, it was important for me to make sure and validate the design, hit all the important criteria necessary for persistence, and that included things like making sure it was fast, making sure it was scalable, reliable, and flexible. And I'm happy to report that I feel that all those important markers have been hit. The performance, I've compared performance between the regular servers and the persistent servers, and you'll notice that it's just as smooth as before. And the system designed so as the player base grows, it shouldn't have any trouble keeping up with it. There were some minor bugs, of course, as I worked on it, and I refined the design based on metrics that we tested. But thanks to the community and the weekly playtests, I think the system is solid enough now and working well enough now that I can move on to the next major update, and that's going to be support for multiple locations. If you join the server, as I'm doing in this video, one really fun thing is to search for ships that are deployed. Deployed ships are ships where their human player is offline. You can see it there on the radar signature, but they've parked their ship somewhere in the universe, and it's a lot of fun to fly around and looking for them. I found this one recently, but I left him alive just for the purposes of this update video. The way the new persistent ship mechanics work are that you'll want to find a large, massive object like an asteroid or a capital ship to stash your ship, because if you leave your ship out in the open in the middle of nowhere, a faint sensor signature will be easily picked up by enemies, and they'll be able to find you while you sleep and dispatch you that way. But if you park your ship near a massive object, you'll, as you saw in the clip, the sensor signature will be weak, and only once you get very close to them will you show up. So it's much harder to find yourself if you take time to do that. Although combined use of the headlights and the night vision can make spotting hidden ships easier. Also, in the player list, you'll be able to see if a ship is in the reserve state or deployed state, so you can get an idea what's out there and then go actively hunt for them. As I worked on persistence, I also touched upon other parts of the game. Box provided me with a really wonderful set of graphical updates. The ship models have new materials and refinements. The pilot models got improved, the interiors, the cockpits. All the existing ship and its related art is looking better than ever, as well as new animations for the interior and future animations for using with capital ship docks and hangars. Antonio, our sound designer, also did the first iteration of cockpit ambience and thruster effects. He'd previously had done the new alarm systems, but now these two really important bits of the ships have been really done, and it really adds a lot to the experience. You'll really feel and hear the ships are coming to life as you hear each individual thruster opening and closing, with special damage effects for things like G-forces. It's really, I think, quite a nice implementation. I'm sure we'll revisit it in the future, but it's good enough now, and that it was time for us to start moving to the next phase, which I'm happy to announce will be working on the weapon systems. We're going to start with the Vulcan cannon. And once the new sound effects for the Vulcan cannon are in a good shape, and that's going to include, weapons fire, reloading, damage effects, and so forth, then we'll eventually redo all the sound systems for all the weapons in the game. Box also gave me some new gun crosses, so I took advantage of that, and the HUD has seen major improvements, both visually and mechanically, as well as the displays. And I think the new systems really have taken Hunternet's core gameplay further, and it really fits in the whole man versus machine, the sense of horror and dread as you're hunted and hunting other pilots in Hunternet. Yvonne also created updated versions of his beautiful explosion effects. They look great. Also work really well with the new wreckage materials that Box has done, and you'll notice when you blow people up, the wreckages and the explosions are physics aware, so they're going to use that to find wreckages more quickly to blow them into bits and harvest them if you have cargo equipped. Another area that was worked on while I worked on Persistence is that the flight model, there were some minor differences between racing and combat in different locations. So all that has been unified, so it's the same flight model everywhere. In the combat location, the combat racing location, the rings that you go through while racing have a new mechanic now, which is also going to be used in the open world for traversal. Whereas if you hold down boost or power burn as you cross a ring, you'll get an additional speed boost. And that also made it possible for one of our best racing pilots, Banania, to, for the first time ever, get a sub 2-minute lap. Check that out in the announcements channel. It's really quite an accomplishment. But yeah, so always when I'm working, right now I'm focused on the technical side of the game, I'm always looking for little small things that I can do to keep the weekly updates fun and interesting. But thanks to, so highly recommend hopping onto the race location and just checking out the game if it's been a while since you last checked it. But racing is really exhilarating, and again, these rings are also going to be part of the open world. The next major update is multiple location support. Currently, the test universe only has a single location, but in order to really have an actual universe, players should be able to travel to different locations independently, leave their ships there, come back to them. The world should be simulated persistently and consistently across all locations that are available, whether there's anybody there to witness it or not. So that's what I'll be working on probably for the next couple months. But once that is working, my focus will then be on building the gameplay loops that we need. If you'd like to take part in the weekly playtests, help support the project, and influence the development of the Hunternet universe, visit hunternet.gg to find out how to back the project and gain access to the game now. You can also go to Steam and wishlist the game there to get notified when we launch into Steam Early Access. Thanks again to all our backers, and a special thanks as always to the startup team. I couldn't do it without you guys' support. I look forward to seeing you guys in the universe, and stay frosty, pilots.